Hey, Aubrey, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you, Jess?
I'm good. I'm wearing my favorite new sweatshirt. I have been living in this sweatshirt. That's a great idiom. And speaking part one, if you are asked about clothes and what you wear or shopping, favorite piece of clothing, item of clothing, um, that is a great idiom, right? To describe something that you really love and you wear a lot, say, I live in this sweatshirt. So I'm
Yes, that's
wearing
such
a,
fun exaggeration to say you
yeah.
wear it all the time. I live in it.
So I'm wearing a bright yellow Adidas hoodie, and it's my new favorite thing in the world.
It looks so cozy. It looks
It
really
is,
comfy.
you guys, and it's the best color. Check us out on YouTube, and you can see it, IELTS Energy TV. All right, so today we have some very extremely important grammar advice for you guys.
Yes, we have seen some mistakes lately. I mean, we've always seen this mistake, but I just feel like they're popping up a lot lately in mock speaking tests we do for the IELTS exam, essays that we're giving feedback on. It's just such an easy mistake to make. Well, several. We're going to share several easy mistakes to make that if you're aware of them, you can avoid making them and hopefully keep your grammar score at that 6 or maybe a 7. These are mistakes that are worth that little bit of extra attention.
Completely. Because so not knowing these common uncount nouns that we will teach you, not knowing those, and then making the mistake of pluralizing them, it's not just about making the word form mistake, which is a vocabulary error, but that also causes you to make multiple grammar mistakes, subject verb agreement and pronoun agreement. You make those grammar mistakes as well. So really, these very common errors bring down both vocab and grammar scores in a number of ways.
Exactly, right? And we did get a really good question on a video that's related that we have on YouTube. So first of all, don't miss this YouTube video. It's let's see, don't make these uncount noun mistakes on IELTS. So it was episode 1287.
No, that's
And
this episode
oh,
that we're
that's funny. That's
recording
what we
right
labeled.
now.
Where's the name for? Oh, here it is. IELTS grammar. Don't mess up these count non-count nouns. New title for you. So you can find that on
Adorable.
YouTube. And I'll read the question.
We have
Ahmed
fun.
Al-Jarai, sorry, I'm probably not saying your name right. Really good question asked, what about the word handful? Can we use handful as an uncountable phrase? First of all, shout out to this listener. I love that we had a list, we had a bunch that we shared that are very common, like research, information, advice, knowledge, children. And I think this is taking it a step further to think, okay, what other nouns might trip me up? What other nouns might I see problems with? And to ask about, yes, right? Throw your questions on YouTube or on social media, because then you have all the answers you need on test day.
Exactly. So, those uncountable nouns, just to tell you guys those again, you can see them in that YouTube video. Research, information, advice, knowledge, and children. So these are all inherently pluralized. Okay, so that means they are uncountable. You do not add s. They are treated grammatically as a singular noun. Okay, so that is the only information you need to know to understand all of the mistakes that we will talk about today. But you do need to memorize that list because those are the most common uncount nouns that we see people make mistakes with all the time. All right.
And
So,
to quickly answer Ahmed's question, handful
yes.
is interesting because we do make it plural. We say this handful of berries or these handfuls of berries. And that might sound a little strange to you, but we do add an S to handful, make it plural.
Yes, but you cannot use handful with these uncountable nouns. I cannot
Right.
say a handful of research, a handful of advice. Okay. So
Good
handful must
point.
only be used with plural countable nouns. All right. But that's a great question because that is a idiomatic quantifier. Instead of saying some or a few, right? Handful, that is such a slangy natural way to say some. So a handful of times I have eaten there, for example.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, let's dive in. We're first of all going to share a few of the errors that we have seen recently so that you kind of have an idea of these very common errors to look out for, to avoid. And the first one, when we're talking about uncount nouns, article errors, right? So, for example, I'm looking for an advice.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you're hearing the error there. You can't say an advice because it's already plural. It's not something you count. We would just say, I'm looking for advice with no, it's a zero article. There should be no article, no and, no the.
Exactly, exactly. So, write this down, guys. You have to follow these rules for better grammar scores on IELTS. Okay. So, yes, no articles before uncount nouns because articles are only for things you count. So, that makes sense. A or and means one. If you want a quantifier to say, like, this happened once or this one thing, then you have to add a word, different words collocated for each one, right? So, a piece of advice, for example. A piece of advice. Let's see. A piece of knowledge? Can we say that?
Or a bit. We often will say a bit, right? I'm looking for a bit
Yes.
of advice or a bit of knowledge, a bit
Oh,
of
that's so good.
information.
So good. So good. All right.
And then one
Awesome.
more mistake I saw recently, same mistake really. I heard someone say, I sell softwares. And software, it's already plural. You're not going to add that S. We would just say, I sell software. No article. Don't make it plural, right? It's already plural, software.
Exactly. Or if you are talking about specific pieces of software, those would be programs, right? I sell software programs, and that's what you pluralize. All right, so we have two more grammar mistakes to watch out for, guys. Again, I hope you are taking notes because these are super common mistakes that we do not want you to make on your own exam in both speaking and writing, right? So we talked about articles. Now, the next most common mistake here is subject verb agreement. Of course, because subject is a noun, right? And we are talking about uncountable nouns. So if you pluralize them by adding an s, then you're going to use the wrong verb with it. You're going to use are instead of is, for example.
Yes, an example that I saw very recently, or I heard rather in a speaking example, someone said, the football team are playing. And because team, you can see it's got to be the football team is playing. It's tricky. It's such an easy mistake to make.
Totally. A team, yeah, it's a collection of people. And I think that's a great way to remember why we call these collective nouns, right? People, family, team, these are all groups of things. Yes, that's a great example. And then another example, if you do assign a countable noun to this, right? We said piece of advice, software program. If you do assign a noun like the group of actors are amazing. But what is the subject there? What is the main subject? It's not actors, it's group, right? Which is an uncountable noun. So the group of actors is amazing. You could say the actors are amazing, but here group is the main subject, right? So is has to be used.
And you can see why this mistake is made so often and that you often wouldn't catch it when you proofread your essay. If you're only looking at the noun right before the verb, you're going to think, oh, actors are, boom, perfect, right? You have to really be thinking about what is actually being said, what is being written. The
Mhm.
subject is group. Oh, it should be the group of actors is amazing. So you have to also be aware to look for those when you're proofreading.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so tricky. Okay. Now, the final grammar mistake that a lot of teachers won't address, and this isn't something you see talked about a lot because guys, I mean, I think you might have seen some other teachers or forums or, whatever grammar websites talk about the problems that students have with collective nouns and group nouns, but here's something that you will not see a lot. Another problem this causes is pronoun issues. Okay. Because think about it, guys. If you are pluralizing a noun that should not be pluralized, then that means you're also like choosing a pronoun that is incorrect. Right. Or you could be using a plural pronoun for a group noun instead of treating it as a singular noun. Remember, we said these group nouns must be treated as a singular noun grammatically. Okay. So if I'm saying, like, according to research, people spend 4 hours a day on screens. They also reported that maybe I think research, okay, now research is just it's a bunch of studies. So I should use a pronoun that is plural. So I'm going to say they to reference the research, cuz you're thinking about it too much and you're making a mistake.
Exactly, but it actually should be it. It also reported that, right? Because research, whenever you say this research happened, it was interesting, the pronoun will be it, right?
Exactly.
And here's another example, right? If we say people should only get advice from trusted experts, friends and family might give them uneducated ones. Ooh, hopefully you heard the error there.
So I love using the pronoun reference one. Remember, this can refer to people and it can be very formal. Like instead of saying, you should not do that in your
Mm.
essay, right? We can't talk directly to the examiner. That's informal. So we use the formal pronoun one. One should not do that. But here, now I am referring to the advice in the previous sentence, right? But I think, oh, it's not just like one piece of advice I'm talking about. I'm talking about advice in general. I'm talking about all the advice. So I'm going to say ones, plural, because I'm talking about all the advice. Wrong, wrongo. That's not a word. I'm just having fun on the
Making it
YouTube
up.
video.
Wrong-o, boyo.
So, again, guys, we are going to refer to these nouns with singular pronouns like it or one. All right, great grammar episode today, Aubrey.
Yes, exactly. This is so tricky, guys. We recognize this is difficult. You've heard us say a lot, don't focus too much on grammar, and we stand by that. But there are some things that if you are just aware of it, you'll make the mistake less. You'll find it more when you're proofreading. And this is one of those things, a very common error that lots of English language learners make. Now you're aware of it, you'll be able to keep an eye out for it as you practice, avoid making these mistakes. Look for it when you're proofreading your essays. Don't let it trip you up or slow you down when you're getting your ideas out, but look for it when you proofread and catch some of these errors.
Totally, totally. Great advice, Aubrey. All right, we'll be back on the mic tomorrow, guys. We'll see you then.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.